Is it raining outside, you guys? Oh, thank the Lord. This morning when I got up and last night I was driving and I thought it was going to rain all day. I went, oh man, I'm getting back into bed. I don't know if I can make it. And then later on today, I saw it cleared up. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Because it's cold, it's raining, but this is important. Anyway, my name is Martin Gordon. I'm the chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. And just in case you didn't know, you're here for the Candidates Forum here at All Saints Church today for the candidates for District 3. We're here at All Saints. First of all, let me thank All Saints Church who allowed us to move this important event to this venue due to some unfortunate scheduling issues and conflicts with the city of Pasadena. It is important for us to remember that we are here to serve the people in our communities. It is not the people who are here to serve us. Thank you, All Saints. Bathrooms are in the corner over there. There's housekeeping right quick. Over in the back there's some coffee, donuts, water. I don't even know what else over there. Maybe some hot chocolate. So,
It's not hot chocolate, it's all coffee.
Okay. Well, I don't know why they told me that, man. I want my money back. You know me, I want my money back. Give me what you promised me. If we move quickly, we should have time for some questions from the audience, but we've got to move quickly. If you think, we'll get to that later on to make sure that if we have time, and I'll tell you how we'll do that. Today's town hall invited guests are appointed District 3 Council Member Justin Jones and Vice Chair Housing Board Brandon Lamar, both candidates for City Council District 3. Brandon, welcome. Justin, welcome. Asking the questions this evening, let me introduce LaTanya Norton, our journalist and host of A Royal Now. This is LaTanya here. Also, some of you might know this guy, James Farr, journalist, host of The Conversation Live. Thank you, James. Before I do a format, I'm sorry, have I got the wrong agenda here? Well, I'll move on. If I pass somebody, my agenda, we'll go back. I'd like to ask Todd to come up. He's going to give us a brief clarification of why we have a special District 3 election to complete John Kennedy's term and election for full 4-year term, which will come again in 2 years.
Martin's not being completely honest with you guys. I was told that I was needed to be here because of the Black History Parade and to remind you guys that it's coming up in 2 weeks. So to make sure that we're all there. But on a serious note, this election by charter will cover a 2-year period, which will then be covered by a 4-year term. So we'll be back here in 2016. So this is a very valuable, important election. I'm sorry, 2026. Not 2016. We have our oversight here. She's watching me, right? Okay, so enjoy.
Okay, the importance of this is that this election is only for 2 years, for the next 2 years, and at the end of those 2 years, there will be another election for a full 4-year term, for District 3. Thank you. Format for this evening. We find ourselves, me included, in uncharted territory this evening. Most political town halls include more than one candidate speaker. In this instance, we have not received a response from Councilmember Jones regarding his attendance. With this in mind, tonight's event will continue with a series of questions pertinent to the issues in District 3. Candidates present will have from 1 to 3 minutes to answer each question depending on the question, and we'll give you that time as we go through the questions. Moderator may provide additional time to clarify a candidate's response. The candidates will alternate. Hey, don't ask me. I just read what they write for me. The candidates will alternate as the starter as the questions progress. That's a joke. Our volunteer timekeeper this evening is not here yet, and I'm not sure we're going to need a timer as much as as we don't have. Oh, there you are. There you are. Is Taylor? Hi, Taylor Bickham. There she is. And what we're going to do is, although we're really not any time constraint here since we don't have two candidates, we are going to give, like, you have 2 minutes to respond, 30 seconds to respond, and we'll have her count it down. She'll put one figure up to let you know you have 15 seconds left, and then a fist up that says your time is up. We're probably not going to have to cover that so good since we don't have anybody. We only have one candidate here. Works for me. Does that work for you? Brandon, are you okay with that? I'm sure. Okay. We will start with the opening statement. 1 minute. Oh, who had? Okay, that's not where I'm at on this. You're going to do the bios? Okay. Actually, this is going moment by moment as at the last minute when we found out this person is not coming, that's not. So give us a break here. Okay, we're going to do the bios of both candidates. And we're going to have Ms. Esprit Jones, the chair of the Civilian Police Oversight Commission, to do that for us.
Happy Black History Month, y'all. I combed my hair out for this. Councilmember Justin Jones dedicated his career and life to serving the community. He was born and raised in the city of Pasadena and a product of our city's investment in its residents. Both the Pasadena Unified School District and the city of Pasadena stood as the foundation of who he is today. The city of Pasadena staff, sorry, FAR asked me if I could read before I got here, and I didn't change my glasses. So don't think I can't read. I went to PUSD schools too, but I could read. Dog's house. The city of Pasadena staff poured into professional knowledge as an intern in the Rose program and the Pasadena Water and Power and engineering intern for Pasadena Public Works Department. Furthermore, he's a graduate of the Pasadena Neighborhood Leadership Institute. These experiences have given him the tools in advance to advance his career and to better serve the community. Councilmember Jones is a licensed civil engineer and an associate civil engineer in the Los Angeles County Public Works. His current role is to help administer the Safe Clean Water Program, which provides local dedicated funding to increase our local water supply, improve water quality, and protect public health. Protect public health, sorry, glasses. In addition, he is also a former chair of the Pasadena Environmental Advisory Commission and the former chair of the Pasadena Human Relations Commission. He is also a Pasadena Water and Power Stakeholder Technical Advisory Group member for the Power Integrated Resource Plan. Councilmember Jones is an avid reader, gym enthusiast, and has been happily married to his wife, Natalia Roma Jones, for almost 5 years. Brandon Lamar is a dedicated public servant and is a native to Pasadena. He was raised in Northwest Pasadena and proudly attended Edison, Elliott, and John Muir. He's running for Pasadena City Council to build a bridge between the residents of District 3 and City Hall. At a young age, Brandon became involved in various community programs, including Pasadena Youth Ambassadors and the Pasadena Youth Council. In his early 20s, he became the chair of the Youth and College Division and the third vice president of the Pasadena NAACP. Soon after, he was appointed by Pasadena Mayor Terry Tornick to the Human Relations Commission, where he currently serves as chair. As the chair, he's led efforts in making recommendations to the City Council on prevention of hate crimes and encouraging our council to correct our wrongdoings concerning the history of racial injustices in our city. Brandon's career path led him to a series of roles in nonprofit and advocacy sectors. He served as a director of programs for the LAPD Hollywood Police Activities League, where he led programs and advocacy efforts on issues related to poverty, education, mental health, and community engagement. He currently serves as the California Director for National Nonprofit working to address racial disparities and other social injustices in our juvenile and child welfare systems. Brandon's service includes Vice Chair, Pasadena Rental Board, and I think what I have is cut off. Is there any more to Brandon's bio? That's sufficient. So welcome, Justin and Brandon.
Thank you, Ms. Bree. I see we're having some issues with the first version, the second version, the third version. They all got mixed up in here, so give us a little time. We're going to get it together, but we're ready. With this in mind, tonight's event will continue with a series of questions pertinent to issues in District 3. The candidates will have 1 to 3 minutes to answer each question. Depending on the question, the moderator may provide additional time to clarify candidates' response. The candidates will alternate as a starter as the questions progress. Actually, if there's only one, there's not going to be much progression. And I talked about volunteer timekeeper. The questions are centered on affordable housing, homelessness, public safety, economic development, and jobs. Let me set the stage for tonight's event. Many of you out there know that the old man don't do social media. Go ahead and laugh, I don't. But despite that, you call me and try to fill me up with it. Don't. Tonight is about District 3 and the legacy left by John J. Kennedy and who is the right fit for the people of District 3 to fill those shoes for the next 2 years. I'm sorry? Why are you trying to say? I said, John J., this is what was left. Did you hear what I said? This is about John J. Kennedy not being here. Oh, yeah, he's here in spirit. He's here in spirit. But somebody said, no, you're talking about Brandon Lamar. No, I'm talking about, we would need somebody, do you listen again, the people of District 3 to fill those shoes for the next 2 years, John J. Kennedy's shoes. This seems to have been lost by the media. Stories of lost permits and refusals to attend even events have stolen the show. Misdirection. Both candidates were invited tonight. Let's talk politics center stage tonight and go back to basics. This is about our community, not about a bunch of subterfuge. We will start with opening statements, and there's only one opening statement to come. We give you 1 minute to start. Brandon Lamar.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming so much. Can you give yourselves a round of applause? Came out in the rain. Appreciate you guys. My name is Brandon Lamar, and I am no stranger to the city of Pasadena. My grandparents were pastors here in Pasadena. My grandfather was the first African-American plasterer in the city of Pasadena. And so I went to PUSD schools. Besides that, I'm the California director for a national nonprofit that works to really end our young people going into juvenile halls, because we believe that all of our young people can be rehabilitated inside of their own communities with the right support, the right mentorship, therapy, and so forth and so on. And so I lead those efforts in California, in Los Angeles County and Alameda County, but also on a national level. I lead violence prevention efforts in 39 states. And so when you talk about crime, I don't think nobody that's running for this office currently can talk about the prevention of crime or lowering crime more than I can. Number two, I've been chair of the Human Relations Commission. I currently serve as vice chair of the Pasadena Rental Housing Board. And I'm also chair of the Oversight Bond Committee for Measure PCC, overseeing $565 million going back into our education system, uploading or redoing our buildings, rehancing our buildings, make sure that it has the right technology and so forth and so on. Here are my priorities. My priorities are very simple because one thing I want you to know is District 3, we are the most diverse district in any other district in Pasadena. And also when that comes about, we also have the most complex needs in the district as well. And so being that we have the most complex needs in our district, one of my priorities is affordable housing. As you guys know, in my district, a one bedroom is $2,400 to rent. I guess I got a few amens. To buy a house is $1.4 million. And the reason why I'm fighting so hard for this is because I want you, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren to be able to buy here in Pasadena and afford to live here in Pasadena so you don't have to fly to Texas to go see them. So that's important for me. Thank you. That's important for me. Public safety is also important for me. As you guys know, we have the most shootings in our district. That's concerning. We have the most pedestrians being hit by cars. That's concerning. One of the neighbors who are here today, he actually recorded on his camera a car accident in front of his house. There's things that we have to do about that in our streets to make sure that you and I can ride our bikes and walk in our streets. The next thing that's important for me is homelessness. We have to end our homeless. There's 565 people that are literally
I'm going to stop you there for the moment. I gave you 2 minutes since you were the only candidate, and we're going to move on to question.
Can I finish off?
Yes, I'm going to let you
All right.
finish that last thought.
Thank you. So homelessness, my plan is to end homelessness. There's 565 people that are homeless, that are counted homeless in Pasadena. Of course, there's a little bit more than that with people that are living on somebody's couch. But I think we can house 565 people in Pasadena, and I think that we can do that quickly if we just take the Band-Aids off and really heal our community. All right, I'll stop there. Thank you.
Great. I just want to be fair. Great. Thank you. We'll move on to questions. And the first question, we'll start with James Farr.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Excuse me, 2 minutes.
I have 2 minutes? He has 2.
He has 2 minutes to respond. We'll give you a little leeway here, as we don't have anyone to turn it over to.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone, once again, and thank you for those who are watching us live on the Conversation Live. Be sure to share this video with your neighbors and fellow District 3 residents. So, Brandon, let's get ready for some critical and possibly uncomfortable conversation, all right? Why are you still here? Who the hello are you? And why are you asking for people to vote for you again? You have 2 minutes.
Excuse me, before you say that, no one voted for him before. That was an appointment, so voting for you now.
Well, James, you had it right. I ran in 2020, and I got 41% of the vote. So 41% of the district actually voted for me again before. This is not my first time running. And so even within that, here's why I'm doing this again, because I'm dedicated to the people of Pasadena. This has nothing to do with me. Everybody asking me all the time, why are you doing this? You can do so much more elsewhere. Because I believe this, if we don't make sure that home is secure, then how can we serve other communities if people that are living in my district can't afford to live here? If people who are living in my district continue to be gunned down, if people who are living in my district continue to be hit by cars, if people in my district continue to be priced out and gouged out in their community, that's a concern for me. That's a huge concern to me. Why do I continue to do this? Can I tell you this is Black History Month and there's only 6% black people in Pasadena right now? And 33%, thank you, 33% of those, of our homeless population is Black. That's a concern for me. And so why am I running? Because we need to stop with the stigmas, and we need to bring real solutions to our community so the people that live in our community can heal together, and we can live together, and we can continue to see our families grow up and live here. My grandmother had 10 kids. My mom is the oldest of the 10. There's 39 of us grandchildren, 29 great-grand, and I'm the only one left in Pasadena. That's a concern to me. So that's why I'm running. That's why I'm asking for your vote, because I believe we share the same concerns. We share the same concerns. I'm not new to this. I take it to this point. I'm true to this because I knocked on you guys' doors to hear your concerns, and I really believe that we can push and make sure that Pasadena change for the better. Also, if elected, or no, let me stop that. When elected to City of Pasadena, there's over 60% of Pasadenians who are renters. And so when elected to Pasadena City Council, I will be the only renter on our city council to represent the 60% that makes up of Pasadena. And my hope is to change that renters to increase the number of home ownership in Pasadena as well. That's a passion of mine.
Thank you. Thank you. There's something you said about Pasadena and the single digits of Black people in Pasadena that I beg to differ on. I think what happens is it gets skewed because when you say African American, it only means African Americans, and you look at 6%. But when you look at Black people, it multiplies almost tenfold because there are Cubans, Jamaicans, Costa Ricans. I call them Black and Latino. My whole family is full of Black and Latinos, believe me. So there is a misnomer that there are 6% of Black people. There may be 6% of African Americans, but guess what? I want to tell y'all something. There's a bunch of Black people out there. So I want to get that in your mind. And that's why, by the way, that's why people still think we know that we are very politically active and we can change the state of any election.
I guess now I know who I'm debating against. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I came here ready, y'all. Let's go.
James has a
My
follow-up.
numbers are proven, and they out there, y'all.
No.
No, I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you.
I know you're messing with me. James, you had a follow-up, a quick follow-up.
Mr. Lamar,
Yes, sir.
do you care to opine about your opponent not being here tonight or at any other debate or candidate forum or town hall?
I got 2 minutes on that one, too.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
All right.
If you want it.
I'll take 20 seconds. Maya Angelou said this, and I said this on Sunday, so I'll say it now. I think it has proven to everybody what it is. I can't speak for him, so that's that. But Maya Angelou did say this: when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And so if you can't show up for the community, or if you show up in certain areas and won't show up for all areas, that's a concern for me. And so you take that however you want to choose, but when someone shows you that they cannot show up for the community in all of our communities, then you should believe them.
Thank you. And just, thank you. Thank you. And just to be clear, yes, he was invited. Yes, I called him. Yes, I emailed him in every other way I could and never received a single response. And I think it is important because I call the mayor and he responds. I call every person on the city council who's got my name on speed dial to tell me what I shouldn't be doing. And when I call them, they respond. This was not okay. Let's move on. And LaToya, the next question. LaTanya. LaToya is my niece's name. Sorry, y'all. LaTanya.
That's okay. Mr. Lamar, thank you so much for being here. The unemployment rate among African Americans and other minorities, as you know, is high. What would be your plan for jobs and increased employment of Pasadena residents in both public and private sectors?
Absolutely. I think number one is we have to be making sure In order to for us to increase the middle class in Pasadena, we have to make sure that the residents of Pasadena are making fair wages here, and we have to increase those wages. Also, we have to go into a state where people that are in Pasadena are the first to apply for contracts that the city of Pasadena gives, that the money that city of Pasadena is given. Also, we need to be hiring the people who live here locally for our jobs. One of the biggest things that I'm a proponent for is advocating for us to hire within our community first. If we can't hire within our community, then you can outsource. But I can guarantee you, you can find out of 145,000 people, you can find some quality people to do these jobs. And so I've been advocating for that. I've been advocating for local hiring. If you look at my website, I have the most union support. And so we are making sure that we speak up for actual unions as well, making sure that our families have, making sure that our families have the support that they need, making sure that people of all sizes, working classes, have the support that they need. But I think if anything, the people of Pasadena know me to be a voice for the working class in Pasadena. The people who are going to work every single day, striving to make ends meet for their families. That's what I'm known for. The second thing I'll say is I will fight for small businesses. Our small businesses are closing, and they're closing right under our noses. And so we have to get more support to our small businesses in Pasadena so that we can grow our mom and pop businesses that are here. Also, we have to stop people that are coming from different cities trying to give bogus lawsuits to our mom and pop landlords. We have to support our mom and pop landlords. And that's one of the biggest concerns that I'm hearing from our businesses in District 3 is that they're getting people from way in San Diego coming with lawsuits that makes no sense because you have the wrong circle table there. That's a lawsuit, right? And so we have to support those small businesses, and that's what I'm committed to do in Pasadena.
Thank you. Thank you.
for that.
I have one quick follow-up. I hear all the time young people and people in general say, I need a job, but I need to be trained. I need some help. Do you have any thoughts on job training programs as you come to the council?
Absolutely. So one thing that I'm currently working on is I started something called the Project Labor Coalition. And it's working with unions to make sure that we have people that are trained in union jobs in the city of Pasadena. Also, what I've been doing is hooking up the Flint Ridge Center because they have a program where apprenticeship program where they are training people in union jobs to get union paid jobs. And so those are the things that we're continuing to do. And then also partnering with PUSD, making sure, because the truth of the matter is not all of our young people want to go to college. Yes, we want to make sure that all of our young people are prepared to go to college. But there's also jobs out there that our young people can do. And so partnering with PUSD, I'm so glad to be endorsed by 6 of the 7 PUSD members and 5 of the 7 PCC board members as well, so that we can talk about those exchangements to making sure our community is well trained.
Thank you. James, next question by James Farr.
Thank you, Mr. Lamar. John Kennedy ushered in civilian oversight of the Pasadena Police Department. It has had a rough start. Now we have alleged allegations of police gangs within the department, police abusing police, and rampant pretext stops. And we're getting the same result. From here, is it time for a charter change, subpoena power, active real-time investigations of the police abuse by an independent auditor or monitor?
So that sounds like 5 questions, so I'm probably going to answer
absolutely
2
is.
of them.
You
And
got
if
30
I don't
minutes.
answer if I don't answer the other 3, just repeat them. So for me, let me tell you this point blank. I have made the commitment that I will not take police union money until we create better systems within our community and better police engagement. My opponent has taken the maximum that he can take from our police union, and I stand against that. Here's the reason why I stand against that. I stand against it because we have not done all that we can to create better engagement with our community between law enforcement and the community. The efforts that I have is I've invited the law enforcement to every single thing that I've done to be mentors. First off, I started a Young Kings Retreat where we take young African American males and Latino males in our community in Northwest Pasadena, 75 of them every single year. And we have the Young Kings Retreat, and we mentor them. I invite our police officers to come and be mentors as well. We do a welcome back day every single year at John Muir High School and at PHS, Pasadena High School, thank you. And I invite our officers to come to be a part of that as well. So the biggest thing for me is engagement. The second biggest thing for me is accountability. If we are not accountable to our law enforcement officers and our law enforcement officers are not accountable to us, then that is a problem. And so we have to make sure that we fight for policy, and that's a statewide thing that we have to fight for policy, but also we have to make sure that the police chief that we have a person that is qualified to keep our officers accountable. And not talking about the one that we have, but we have to make sure that our police chief is qualified to keep our officers accountable when they do something wrong. In any other position in our city of Pasadena, if you are held for conduct reasons or you do something wrong that's against your job or policy, you get fired. That does not happen in our police department, and that is an issue, and that is a problem. And so I want to make sure that across the board, if you do something that is against policy, I'm not talking about good policing. We want good policing, and we have good policing. Thank you. I'm talking about if we have people that are outside of policy that we continue to see, they have to be held accountable, because this is how we keep our streets safe at the end of the day. That our police department has accountability, but the flip side of it, community, is that we have to hold each other accountable as well. And so when stuff is happening in our streets, we have to hold it accountable as well. We have to hold our own community members accountable for the stuff that is happening in our streets. I know I missed at least 3 questions that you had.
I think that's good enough to get started.
All right.
And we can have some follow-up on that
Sounds good.
maybe later on. I think one of the follow-ups, just quickly, that wasn't really asked, is the Civilian Police Oversight Commission doing its job, or does it need stronger teeth, in your estimation?
So the first answer is yes, they're doing their job. They're doing the job that with the teeth that they have. They're asking the hard questions, and you know that you're asking hard questions when certain individuals get irritated by the questions that you're asking. So that means that they're doing their job, right? And it's okay, because accountability means you have to ask the hard questions so that we can get to solutions. Do they need more teeth? Yes. But I also think that there has to be more transparency between the Civilian Police Oversight and our police department as well. It cannot be the Civilian Police Oversight Board against our police department, or our police department against our Civilian Police Oversight Board. We have to work together, and we have to create solutions together, but also each party has to be open to the solutions that are coming forth, right? And so, yeah, that's the answer. I think they're doing a great job. I think there's more that they can do, but they need the opportunity to do more.
Thank you. That answers the question. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the next question, and this is LaTanya.
Mr. Lamar, this question deals with affordable housing. Affordable housing is a pressing issue in Pasadena. Is the in-lieu fee working? What is your plan to increase affordable housing? Please be specific, including tiny houses, church land options, and the like. And either way, would you plan to increase the much-needed affordable housing in Pasadena?
Absolutely. So let me say this. District 3 has built the most affordable housing out of all of our districts in Pasadena. So we are leading the efforts to affordable housing. Because of John Kennedy, that is happening. So if anybody takes credit for that, tell them that ain't true. That was that brother. So he gets the credit for that, and can't nobody speak to that. Now, what we have to do is also work with our other city council district people to be able to build more affordable housing throughout the city of Pasadena. right? We're not going to get any more land. And so at the end of the day, we have to work as a partnership. District 3 cannot be the only district that is building affordable housing. It has to be through all of our districts, and we have to work with all of our districts to do that. And so first thing is, yes, I believe in affordable housing. I do believe that we need to build more affordable housing. I already went over the numbers of pricing with you with rental and with how much housing is costing. And so some of the things that I think we need to do is, number one, we have to relook at our zoning ordinance in Pasadena, and we have to start rezoning. A lot of you see a lot of empty buildings that we have, thank you, in Pasadena now, and we have to start really looking at rezoning so that we can actually start using some of those empty buildings and recreating them as multi-use housing. Some of the other things that I'm advocating for is a vacancy tax for all unused buildings so that we can use that money to go back into affordable housing. One of my friends is the mayor of Culver City, and they have a transfer tax, not a transfer tax, sorry, a transfer fee. And the transfer fees put money into a fund so that the city can create more affordable housing. And that mayor is Mayor Yasmin, who has endorsed my campaign as well. And so we're seeing it working throughout the community, but we have to have more support in these areas. Also, my ideal is to also bring more support to our families, especially our mom and pop landlords, thank you, who have duplexes and triplexes and quadplexes in our city, and ADUs. We need to start making sure that ADU pricing goes down. The pricing for that and how we build goes down for that so our community can build more ADUs. So yes, I'm definitely a proponent for affordable housing, and we definitely need it if we're going to keep our families here.
Just one follow-up question. Rent control, is that the answer?
Tell me about it. Your question is rent control the answer?
Or part of the solution?
Rent control is not the answer. Rent control is a piece of the pie. I'll tell you this, as vice chair of the Rental Housing Board, we have helped a lot of families stay in their homes because of the rental protections that we have in Pasadena now. We do need to make some changes to make sure that it's working for everybody, and I'm the first to say that. Don't worry, that's Martin's cell phone. But I'm the first to say that we need to work together with our property owners and with our renters to make sure that Measure H starts to work for everybody. But we have definitely kept how people house because of Measure H. Measure H is not the solution. Measure H is a small piece of the pie. And when we start to understand that as a community, then we will work together for it to work. The people voted for it. The majority of the people voted for it. So we have to make sure it works for everyone.
I have a quick follow-up, and it has to do with the 710 Stub property. And I know there's a task force that's looking at this, but I wonder what your idea is of where that property should go, especially in terms of affordable housing and all of those people of color who were disenfranchised when it was taken away from them.
So my
Thank you. I'll let him answer the question
my
for
2
me.
cents to that is if it was taken away from minorities, because it was, then first rights should go to minorities. First rights should go to African Americans and our Latino population and our Chinese population or Asian population that was taken out of that community. And they have to be able to have first rights to that. Now, if they don't want to come back, then that's their right. But we have to make it right. Here's the thing. We make it right for every other community in Pasadena. I just made it right as the lead for the Human Relations Commission to get an updated plaque on Mills Place Alley to tell the truth about the Chinese settlers when the Caucasian community at that time burned down the Chinese settlers at Mills Place plaque. And I led those efforts to tell the truth. We also have to tell the truth about what continues to happen with the African American community and the Latino community in our communities. And until we start telling the truth and healing in those areas, we need to start talking about redlining too, because that is something that we are still correcting. And so if we're going to correct it all the way, we need to correct it with the 710 stub as well. And I know that there are some conversations, well, how do you know that they even live there? Well, they voted there. They paid their taxes there. There's a way for us to find out, and we have to make sure that our staff in our city is doing the adequate amount of job to look and make sure that the people that was living there at that time, they have first rights to that.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question, James. Thank you very much. Next question, James Farr.
Brandon, your recent failure to file campaign finance documents was reported. Your answer in the media seemed very weak. How can you assure us that if you are elected, that you have the competency to do the job?
Great question. And now I'm debating against James now. So it was reported, 2020 was my first time running. Didn't know anything about running. I had a small team who just said yes because we all was like, hey, we're excited to win and we're excited to run this race. What happens was after the election was over, I thought once the election was over, the election is over. Ain't nothing else you got to do. But that's not true in this political world. You have to file papers. You have to do all that kind of stuff. And so what happened was we didn't file the papers that we needed to file on time at the end of that election. I was new. I said it in that election, and that was that. But here's the truth. We filed them. It's over. I took accountability for it. We finished it. At the end of the day, last year in 2022, I only raised $8,000 to my opponent, $350,000. Did an amazing job. But at the same time, with $8,000, thank you, $8,000, I got 41% of the vote. And so we took accountability for that. And now, to rectify that, I have a treasurer who knows what they're doing, who specializes in campaigns, and I don't have to file none of those paperwork anymore. My team at that time, volunteers at that time, doesn't have to do that. We actually have trained, paid staff who are doing our treasury work at this moment, and so they take care of that so that I don't have to worry about that no more.
Okay.
One follow-up.
Go ahead. One follow-up from James.
It's also been reported that possibly you misrepresented your application in the filing process to be appointed. Do you care to clarify if at all there was any missed filing on that paperwork?
So there was no misfiling. And I'm glad you're asking these questions because people are thinking that they just won't ask me. But there was no misfiling. What happens is I went to Azusa Pacific University. On my papers, I said that I went to Azusa Pacific University. I am still finishing my education. But as they looked on the paper, it perceived to be that I had finished, and I'm still finishing it. And so that's what it was. But when you're in the world of politics, people who are against the truth tries to find anything and everything to come against people who really have the heart for this. And that's why I'm dedicated. That's why I didn't stop after I lost against John. That's why I didn't stop when I lost or when they didn't appoint me for the first appointment. That's why I didn't stop when they didn't appoint me for the second appointment and they appointed a person who didn't even live in my district, right? And that's why I will not stop until my community is represented by people who actually love this community and that has invested in community. I don't hide. The book is out there. And so anybody that has questions, I'm an open book, but I will answer any of them. No, I did not lie on that. And it came to be that I did not lie on that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moderator, just point of fact check and clarification. Mr. Lamar said that his opponent did not live in the district or had just, so I just want to clarify that.
Well, let's have some clarification on that. And actually, there's a question here, actually, is whether or not it is okay for a person who doesn't live in the district and hasn't lived in the district for 6 months or more, if they can move to the district in order to apply to run for office. That's a separate question because
I just want to know by evidence, right, by fact, how is that claim made that the opponent had just moved into the district?
So
I can't answer that question.
well, I
can't.
can. So,
well, go ahead.
So here's the truth, and let me tell you, I'm not being messy. This is the truth. This is where you can find it. It's all out there. That's just what it is. At that time, in 2020, after John Kennedy passed away, the guy that I'm running against did not live in our district. He was a registered voter in District 4, and what happened was August 20th. I know the numbers by heart. August 20th. He changed his address to his uncle's address on Prescott. The very next day, he pulled papers to be appointed to this seat. This is facts. It's there. It's out there. And it's fine. And that's why this has prompted us to do charter change. Because if you want to know where charter change come from, it came from the community in District 3 being upset because they were not allowed to pick their next council member after Council Member Kennedy passed away. If you want to continue to talk about the process, I had 300 signatures of support. I had over 90 letters of support from District 3 residents. I had over 20 phone calls from District 3 residents, and that was double of any other opponent that I had at that time. Because our city council asked our district what did they want to see and who did they want to see in that seat, and they overlooked that. That's an issue for me. And all of this information is public information. You can look it up.
It is actually all public information. So there's no doubt. You can Google it. You know, I don't do all that Googling and boogling like y'all like to do. Somebody just has to come over and tell me. I would like to follow up just briefly about charter change quickly. Yes, because of this, what we were just discussing, there is right now some discussion about charter change of what happens, when someone passes away or leaves their position, and whether there should be an election or whether there should be an appointment, and whether or not, if there's an appointment, whether or not you have to listen to the community as that part of that. We don't know the answer to that, and that's what the task force is looking at now. So that is on the table. That happened because of what happened here in the appointment process. So our next question is going to come from LaTanya.
Mr. Lamar, back in 2022, you withdrew your name from a very contentious District 3 appointment, and you came under scrutiny for doing that. The question is, what was your thought process in doing that? And in hindsight, is that a decision you regret or stand by?
Whew, y'all not holding it back tonight. Mind you, I haven't looked at none of these questions, y'all, so this is just coming at me. I do not regret nothing that I've did. I'm a person of faith, and before I made that decision, I prayed, and I believe that that was the direction that I had. I get emotional because of what happened in that process, and I won't disclose it all. But at the end of the day, some powers that be did not want me in that seat, and they were doing everything that they could behind closed doors to make it not so. At that night, they were planning on spewing lies against me at that meeting in a public meeting, which is fine. I don't take nothing against it. So what I did was, instead of that, because I already knew, let me tell you guys this, I already knew after the first appointment process, I knew I was going to run for this seat again. That's just what it was. And I would rather have your vote rather than their decision choosing me. And that's the truth. I would rather people in my district see that I'm coming and you vote for me rather than them choosing me and they don't live in my district. And so what happens was powers that be decided to do what they wanted to do, and they were doing back backdoor situations that none of you guys knew. And I felt that it was best at that time for me to back away from the situation before it got very messy. And at the end of that message that I gave, you can go back and you can look at it. It's on document, it's live video, it's there. At the end of that, I told every last one of them that I'll see them in 2024 because I'm committed to you guys. I'm committed to fighting for you guys. This appointment process was very much so not just. And our community in District 3 has seen so many injustices that it's not even funny. And we have to have somebody in that seat that understands what is happening in our community and is not afraid to go against the grain to correct it.
Thank you. Thank you for your response. Appreciate it. Just a point of clarification. So in that appointment process, the city council actually reached out to District 3 and asked District 3, what do you want? What do you need? What would you like to see? They got a response. When it was time to deliberate, members of the council actually said, this is what we want, this is what's best for the city council. And it was clearly stated that we don't have to do anything except what the charter says, which is to appoint someone, and we don't have to listen to the community. And that's a fact. Look it up. So let's move forward. You know, what I'd like to do, because we're getting short on time, I think I'd like to open this up and have you raise your hand if you have a question from the community. Yes, sir.
Not you.
Put it up.
Hello? There's a lot of talk about affordable housing. How are we defining that? Is it by cost? Is it by family size? Exactly, how do you define affordable housing?
Yeah, affordable housing is, there's so many definitions out there, to be honest. But what I see as affordable housing is looking at the state of Pasadena and making sure that we have mixed-use housing. Here's what I mean by that. That we have housing that is available to low income, moderate income, which are people who are working families, right? People who have children, moderate income, and then this is what we call market rate, right? And so I believe when it comes to affordable housing, all of those levels have to be included. Here's the flip side of affordable housing as well about what Pasadena has. If any development happens in Pasadena, they have to have 50% of those units that are for affordable housing. Currently, there was no oversight of that 15%. I would like to work with the housing department to make sure that the 15% that's supposed to go to affordable housing are actually going to affordable housing and they're not laying dormant, right? And so that's my definition of affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Do I have any other questions from the audience? Yes.
Thanks, Brandon. There's a lot of employment centers in the city of Pasadena, as you well know. You have everything from JPL to Kaiser to Huntington Hospital. You can just go down the list. There's a lot of good jobs that pay well in Pasadena. How would you propose to actually get some of our young people into those jobs that pay over $100,000? Then they can afford to live here.
So you're absolutely correct. The first thing is, reason why I want to help build our relationships between our police department is because I'm a big proponent of us getting people who are from Pasadena to be law enforcement officers in the same community that they grew up in. We saw it in the 80s. We saw it in the 90s. We're seeing it very few now. And with a high school diploma, you can make six figures in our police department, right? So that's number one. The other steps is, as I stated before, is I'm well connected within the unions. I've been endorsed by 7 unions who work in those hospitals, who work on those construction fields, who work in electricity, who are nurses. And they, especially with the nurses, they want to create a partnership with our city to be able to work hand in hand so that our young people coming out of high school can work with them and training them so that they can open a door for them to be registered nurses right through the door, right? So that's another point. And then I talked about the apprenticeship program that we have at the Flint Ridge Center. And there's also an apprenticeship program that we have at Pasadena City College. But let's also talk about the dual enrollment that's at John Muir High School that is doing an amazing job because of Dr. Gray, right? We now have dual enrollment where young people can actually start earning college credits. I believe it's at 11th grade. And so as soon as they graduate 12th grade with their high school diploma, they already have an AA degree, right? That's another pathway. And those are things that we have continued to talk about. But also the flip side of it is we have to educate our community that these things are available. One of the worst things that, and I won't call it the worst thing, but one of the biggest challenges for us as Pasadenians is no matter how much work we've done, and Mr. Horace Wormley, who's one of my mentors in the crowd, was the former director of Parks and Recreation. No matter how much work that you have done in the community, and no matter how much you put it out and put out the information, there's always somebody who said, I did not see that. I didn't know this was happening. And so we have to make sure that we work together to get these information out there, because there are programs that are available to our young people to help them succeed in our communities.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions from the audience? Yes.
So as it relates to a three-tier policy, contracts, and affordable housing. So U.S. Urban Housing and Development, they have a lot of mandates, Section 3, if you have projects, et cetera. So have you reached up to DC and or local HUD to have these conversations where, one, when you're building here, and you mentioned probably there's an oversaturation in District 3 of affordable housing, that means the land price might be a little bit lower than some of the other places, I'm not sure.
Our land price is the same as if you go over there to the Rose Bowl.
Okay, well then, that factors into your pricing, but my point is, have you spoken with them? Because all of these things can be embedded in the contracts, can be embedded in the policy and in the languages from the public side. So have you done that, or are you doing that?
I am doing that. I will continue to do that. Most things cannot happen because I am not the council person as of yet.
Yes.
So I can't make no agreements, but I do have those conversations. Also, what I'm very proud of is I have been endorsed by every single elected officials that governs the district, from school board all the way up to Congresswoman Judy Chu. I have the support of Assemblymember Chris Holden, who lives in my district. I have the endorsement of Senator Anthony Portantino, who governs our district, and Congresswoman Judy Chu. Here's the thing. We cannot build affordable housing, or we cannot build home ownership alone. This has to be a partnership. And if you look at my resume, if anybody looks at my resume or things that I've done in the community, I'm a collaboration builder. I don't do anything by myself, because when you do it by yourself, it's there and then it's done. But when there's a collaboration of people that are building it, it's here for generations, right? And so what I'm committed to do, and what I've already been talking to all those elected officials who governs District 3 already, is for us to create partnerships within the district so that we can build those affordable housing, so that we can get funding from the federal, from the state, from Sacramento down to Pasadena, to make sure that the job is getting done here in Pasadena. And you cannot do that without partnership. Mind you, I have all of their endorsements. And so that should tell you something about, I'm not gonna go there, but yeah. Hey, Joe.
Go ahead,
Brandon. Some of the things that we've talked about, obviously we've talked a lot about affordable housing, which is really important, but I just want to kind of broaden the questions out to some of the other really pressing issues that we face. If we run out of water, affordable housing doesn't mean anything, because we can't live here with no water. Right. If we, don't have policies in place to let us get around, if we don't have, an environment that lets us live. You know, my biggest fears is all of Pasadena falls down in an earthquake, and then a giant fire burns it all up. You know?
Right, right.
So
Stop that.
not to denigrate any of the other kind of things that we've talked about, but you know, I think a lot of officials, elected officials, tend to have a rather short-sighted view in terms of like, okay, what do we do to appease people right now? And we don't have the kind of visionary leadership that we need to really solve the issues that we're facing. You know, I have a toddler. We moved here 8 years ago. We want to stay here, you know, and we need a solution to that.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. First thing I'll say is, speaking of Joe, Joe is one of our neighbors in District 3, him and his family. And Joe actually, I want to call it a water reservoir, but I know there's a different term for that. It's a rain swell. So Joe's house, he actually collects water when it rains. And that's a beautiful way to continue to help our environment. And there's so many other things that he's doing in that house that's just, it's crazy. But it's amazing. First thing I'll say is, number one, Pasadena made the decision to go 100% carbon free by 2030. They did that with the work of Pasadena 100 and a lot of our community partners here in Pasadena. I sit as the co-chair of Pasadena's Organized for Progress, who also is a part of that group. And we really push for City of Pasadena to make that commitment. As of right now, there are not any concrete solutions or even any concrete areas to say that we're going to make that goal. It's my job that when I'm on City Council, I plan to actually push our PWP to make that a reality for us, making sure that we keep up with the goals that are created. Also, yes, my opponent is in the water field. He is an environmentalist and he has that background. But even with that, I have been endorsed by every single environmental group that there is. That should tell you something. And so I'm committed to making sure, because I understand that when you said earthquake and you said a fire, I know that you were serious, even though there were some juggles. There's a lot of people who are very serious about it, because Pasadena, LA County, our town is very overdue, as what JPL and Cal State has been, Caltech has been saying. We're overdue for a big earthquake. So it's also making sure that our community is prepared for when it comes, not if it comes, but when it comes. But also, we cannot help push global warming forward. We have to do what we can to make sure that our city is sustainable when it comes to the environment. So yes, thank you for your comment and your question, and thank you for everything that you continue to do for our environment, and everything you continue to do on our Transportation Commission. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, young man.
How you doing, Brandon? Question is, I know you mentioned how you've been part of this community, just like me. You know, born and raised here in Pasadena, went to all the schools at PUSD. What are some of your goals in life, far as like outreach in the communities to kind of like you said, like ending the idea of kids going to juvenile, or like setting up any programs or mentorships for the community? What could we expect from you as a council member to like bring more impact or more of a exposed and promotional impact for that?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. First off, my heart is young people. Anybody know me, my heart is young people. I am a two-time author of 2 children's books, actually. One is called The King in Me, the other one is called The Queen in Me, and they both give affirmations that every young king and queen should know as growing up. Because of that book, I decided to start the Young Kings Retreat. Young Kings Retreat is, once again, I said this before, but we get young people, 75 young people every single year from Northwest Pasadena, young males, and we actually take them across the street to day one, and we have a gaming truck, we have a laser tag, we have taco lady come in, and we do punch and paint, because you know they kids, so they can't do simp and paint, but we do punch and paint, and we have a good time with them, and we partner them with mentors, right? Every single thing that I've done has always been to create a system where young people has mentors and young people are well connected. So that's one thing that I've started on my own. Until last year, it used to all come out my budget. It used to all come out of my dollars. And I spent $1,000 out of my own money to make sure that our young people from Northwest Pasadena are secure and safe. So that's one thing. Some of the other things that we have in our community is making sure that our young people are connected to the sports that are around our community, right? Ms. Beverly sitting right there, she runs a baseball program at Robinson Park. If you have boys or girls, they can go up there and play baseball. Jackie Robinson Park also have basketball that they have, and it's really close to free if you're a resident. It's, I think, $10 if you're a resident in Pasadena. For park and recreation programs. Now, Ms. Bev can give you her prices for the baseball program, but I know at Jackie Robinson Park for basketball and the other services there is $10. And some of the other stuff I've done, like I said, I was in the ambassador program. Ashley, who's back there, she was in the ambassador program with me. I was in youth council, so my heart is for the young people. I want to make sure that our young people are not in our streets, but they're being productive. Also, shout out to Harambe Ministries, who is doing the work, making sure that our young people are in production, right? They do a big production every single December, and over 800 people showed up in December for that work. And so it's not only me creating those programs, but it's also plugging our young people into the programs that's already created to serve them as well. Appreciate you, man.
Sorry, we're running short on time. You know, time flies when you're having fun, right? I think we have one more question from Mr. Farr, and then we'll give you a chance to do your closing statement, sir. Did they take your?
I brought it back and he told me to sit it down.
I surely did. I don't give this man that thing just willy-nilly.
Thank you again, Mr. Lamar, for being here. Thank you all for being here. But Brandon, I want to keep it a buck with you. This is not a pageant. This is not an entitlement. And in this election, you only have to win by one vote or lose by one vote. To that one person that may decide the outcome of this, what say you?
Do your homework. Reach out to me. I'm here. But also, I'll tell you this, and this is for all of our community members, and I've said this on Sunday. In 2020, when I ran against John, both of us together, we got 2,600 people to vote in our election. Out of 19,000 people, 11,000 voters, only 2,600 people showed up. That's 2,600 people. That was the most our district has ever seen. In 2017, when John ran unopposed, the most out of 19,000 people, 11,000 people registered to vote. 1,200 people voted. That was the most our district has ever seen. 2013, when there was 3 opponents, when John ran for the first time, there were 2 other people that ran against him. 2013, 19,000 people, 11,000 people are registered. 976 people voted in that election, and that was the most our district has ever seen. District 3 does not vote. My process and my hope, and thank you, and everybody that connected to me, and everybody that knocks on doors with me, and everybody that makes phone calls with me, is I want to push people to get out there so that their voice can be heard. It has been a lifelong situation of people in District 3 that feels like their voice is not heard. Do you need proof? I just gave you statistics right there. That's the proof. People don't vote because people don't feel like their voice is heard. People don't vote because people don't feel like the things that matter to them is happening at City Hall. I want to change that. It's not a stigma, it's the truth. I want to change that. And my place is here. I'm running. And as you've seen, I haven't given up yet. And I won't give up. I won't give up for you. I won't give up for my family. And I won't give up for the generations to come after us. Because until we stop letting the status quo be the status quo, it will continue to be the status quo.
I hate to tell you this, we're about coming to a close because we're going to have to leave out of here pretty soon. And actually, you almost did this already, but I'll give you 1 more minute to close in any way you feel necessary.
All right. Here's my closing statement. I need your help. I need your vote. I can't do this without you. I need your help. At the end of the day, I need people to knock on doors. I need people to make phone calls. I cannot do this without you. We have to get the word out to 19,000 people. I'm going after people whether they registered or they're not registered because they can still register. And so I need that to happen. I'm going after neighbors that look just like you and me, and I'm going after neighbors that don't look like you and me. And so at the end of the day, if we want things to change, we have to move accordingly. Here's some of the things that I just want to point out. I've been serving this community since I was 15 years old. Even through our city council, even though our city council is diverse, it is only diverse by race, by how it looks, but it's not diverse by opportunity and by resources. And I want to change that. I am the only one that if elected, I'll be the only renter that represents our entire city on that city council. I am the only candidate who has experience with lowering crime, especially violence in neighborhoods nationally. I'm the only candidate who has actively invested in our community, especially while serving on 4 boards, even currently while running for office. I am the only candidate who has organized and created coalitions to solve our most complex needs, not only in our district, but throughout the city. And of course, I am the only candidate who is endorsed and supported by every elected official who represents our district from school board to Congress. I am the only candidate in the race who has committed to not take law enforcement money until we build better relationships within our community. And I am the only candidate who is committed to insurance, tenant protections, and making sure that our families are staying housed within our community. And yes, my opponent has outraised me, but I am the only candidate in this race who is committed to running a grassroots People Powers campaign, who is working for working families in our district, and I will make sure that I keep that promise to every last one of you who continues to support me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I hope that I can earn your vote.
Thank you, Brandon Lamar. Thank you, Brandon Lamar. I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. I want to thank the Conversation Live who live streamed this for us. Thank you, LaTanya. Thank you, James Farr. Thank you, All Saints Church. And thank you, community. This is our community. Let's make it work for us. Good night.